Hey, thanks for watching Parenting the Clay Way. I'm John Clay.
And I am Travis McCabe.
Yeah, Travis with Green Beet Coffee here in Altoona. And Travis has a teenager, Braden, right? And he is 18 or 17?
He'll actually be 16.
Oh, 16. See, I was pushing ahead.
Please. Well, yeah. But a part of me is like, yes, please. That way I can get that empty nest.
Isn't it strange how like we want to we want to nurture and enjoy the time,
right?
But we're also always chomping at the bit for what's around the corner, right? And it's like it's really a curse to think that you're waiting for the time to go by.
It's like I love my child, but you're like I only got 2 more years.
So Braden's about to be 16.
He'll be about 16. Yep. And then our youngest Adrian, he'll be 15. So we're 15, 16, and then we got 20. He'll be 21 next year. But
so with our topic today is going to be homework, and the kids. It's a different time nowadays about homework. There's some strange things going on as far as I'm concerned. In that, one, young kids seem to have sometimes a real lot of homework. From what I can see, my kids have a lot. At least Jack, who is going to be going into 4th grade. In 3rd grade, he had what I would consider to be a lot of homework at times. Now, I believe part of it was because he didn't do the homework at school, and so they sent it home. And it's hard for me to know what's what there.
Right.
And then, on the other hand, the older kids that I know of don't tend to have as much homework. What I've heard from teachers is they don't assign it because it just doesn't get done. And so I'm curious to hear about what your boys are doing with regards. How much homework do you see as a teenager these days, and what's happening with that?
They are getting homework daily. I'm honestly surprised when one of them comes home and they do not have homework, because I instantly go into interrogation mode. I'm like, well, why don't you have homework? Because I honestly expect it.
Like, almost don't believe it.
Yeah, I do. And they'll be like, well, I had a study hall from here and here. And I'm like, okay. And I'll let it go. And it's like after like a week or so, and then if I get like an email being like, oh, your child didn't complete this assignment, that's why I'm like, okay, wait a second, you know. One thing I like about how things have changed, yes, the students I feel have more homework than maybe we did, but I love the communication aspect, where the schools are communicating with the parents more. You gotta love technology, to a point. If God forbid, I don't remember, I'm sure I did crazy stuff when I was younger, and I'm just not admitting to it. But if I didn't do an assignment, my mom probably would never known about it. I would have just bustled through, did what I needed to do, or just took the 0 in a test, whatever it was. My mom would never have known about it.
Yeah.
Now, if anything is missing or anything like that, I get emails, I'll get whatever stating, hey, this is where they're at. You can look literally daily online, with completion. So why isn't this completed? And you can go back to your child, this needs done, this needs done, this
right.
So there really is no excuse anymore of why wasn't this completed. It allows the parents to really, really follow up. But homework is a daily thing. Math seems to be a big one. I think math has become such a core staple, and I think it always has been, but it just seems more so now.
And it seems a little more complicated, right? And the way they approach math is a little bit different than the way we did. They have some new techniques, which are odd, because then we're trying to follow those techniques, and it's not the way we remember doing it.
Exactly, and it's a struggle whenever you're working with your child. Like I was always really, really strong in math. I could do math in my head, on certain things, whether it be algebra or whatnot. But, when they start breaking into things, I'm like, wait a second, let me go back through and read this and see exactly what they're asking. It becomes a struggle. But homework itself is, a daily thing, and like I said, I'm honestly surprised when one of them says they don't have homework.
Well, that's so one of the things that you're indicating which is important is that that technology, that ability to check your kids' homework, is only going to work if you do it.
Right.
You've got to get in there and have that communication with the teacher and know where to log on, how to get a hold of those reports. We were talking about back in the day, we used to dread the parent-teacher conferences because you would go in and that's when they would go over those low numbers or zeros that you might have had.
Yep.
And you also would dread having to take the report card home that day. Often I did. I mean, because I was never a straight A student, rarely, until I got to maybe high school. And so I think that things are different now, about, again, all throughout the year,
absolutely,
how they're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing because, it's every year your child, they test for their next placement for the next following school year. Where do they excel? Where do they need help at? And then when they go into the new school year with these sometimes really, really advanced classes, it allows you to kind of check on them. How are they doing? If they're not bringing their homework home, well, maybe it's because they're struggling and they're lost completely and they don't want to bring it home because they're just going to sit there and look at it for hours.
Yeah.
And you don't find out about it. So I think checking on it and seeing why they're not having homework, is a big thing. And it opens up the door. Be like, are you having difficulties? Maybe we just jumped into it too soon. And if you can catch it early, you can put them back, and you don't want to say pull them back, but change them into a different class, that would be more their speed until they're more comfortable, more developed, and going into a more advanced learning and whatnot,
Well, I think it's a great, as you bring up, it really is a great opportunity to interact with your child in a way that empowers them, makes them feel good, because you can say, well, what's going on with your homework? And you can just pretend to be somebody who doesn't know anything about it and let them teach you. Even if they're struggling, you can still let them teach you and maybe talk through some things together. And I think that homework has the ability to be a real bridge that if you sit down and work on it with the child, that's something they're going to remember, that you were there for them, and they can now feel comfortable with you bringing other things to you,
right?
Because you're helping them through a complex and maybe a frustrating part of their life, and you're just sitting down in a comfortable way. Sometimes it's hard. I got to say, it is hard sometimes when you're seeing your child stall at something that he can do,
right?
And it's probably just more of an attitude issue,
right?
And it's like, come on, you just did that, or this is, it's right there in front of you. Like, you get a little frustrated because you feel like they're messing with you a little bit.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think attitude's a big part of it. It's school.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want to go. They're remembering the summers that they're having now. And you start coming back like, sorry, fun time's over. Now it's time to get back to work. It's time to be serious. I think one of the biggest struggles I've personally had has always been with projects. Like, there'll be 2 to 3 weeks they can do a project, and it's always like a day before, or the day, like, and it's late night, and it's like, it's time for bed. Hey, I got this, 10-page essay, or I got to build this, and I'm like,
and it's due tomorrow.
And it's due tomorrow.
In the morning, yeah.
And you're just like, I want to strangle a child.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very frustrating because now you don't, and that isn't always something that a teacher is going to tell you, oh, by the way, you've only got 4 days left of this project or whatever.
Right. But once again, that comes back into anything that's created ideally on the communication aspect. A lot of those projects will show up saying, hey, this is worth 100 points and it's due on this date. And if you're following up, I don't even have to say daily, if you're following up just weekly, on your child's progress, you can see like, hey, this was given out on Wednesday. Today's Friday. Well, we got the weekend. What is this project?
Yeah.
What do you have to do? Well, it's this and this and this. Well, let's get everything you need this weekend, and let's get a game plan together so this is done. But if you're kind of like, well, you know what? My kid's my kid, and they're doing well in school, and I haven't heard any problems. Well, great. Fantastic. You're just not hearing the problems that may be occurring, So, until you get that email or until you check on the
I think
progress.
that's an interesting point, Travis, because it's like, well, that whole idea of like, well, things are fine and things are. I think that you have to confirm that things are fine,
right?
Because I've talked to enough people, interviewed enough parents who, for example, their children end up getting hooked on opioids. Just for an example, and I don't want to go to the worst, but that is one of the worst, and I fear that to say, well, I had no idea that this was going on until it was too late, and now they're hooked into this problem, whatever it is. And so it could be a variety of type issues, and you had no idea, again, until it's too late. Homework can certainly be like that. And that's indicative, I think, of other issues. If they're not connected to their homework and their school and their classes, then what else are they doing with their time and their energy?
Right.
What is drawing them away from all that? And do I need to investigate that and be on top of all that? And I think that if you know that your kids are locked in, not that it doesn't show that everything's great, but boy, if they are on top of their homework, that does give you a sense of relief that at least they are doing pretty well in some of those areas.
Right, absolutely. And the work is getting done, regardless of what the grade is. But you can see if it was turned in late or if their work is on time. But if you're considering constantly seeing a late pattern, well, why is it late? Are you just not doing it and you're just throwing it in? Just half doing it and just here you go. But if they're putting in the effort, okay, well then that goes to a different problem. You're obviously putting on the effort. You're trying to get things done, but yet you're not doing this and this and this. Well, maybe you're just not understanding the class, or it may be something you're not even fully aware of. I know whenever I was in high school, I actually needed glasses. And I didn't realize I needed them, but I was struggling and this and that, and my grades started slipping. I went and had my eyes checked, and I need glasses. Once I had glasses on, it was fantastic. My grades went back up. It could be anything, dyslexia or anything, your child might be struggling with, and might just be embarrassed to even speak about. It's just being aware, and just taking a little bit of time and check.
Very good. All right. There's some great ideas, and we look for your ideas as well. Send us some information about what you think about homework. Is it too much, too little? How do you get engaged with your kids about doing the homework? And what do you think is maybe the more difficult types of projects and things that you've had to work on with your kids? Let us know, and we'd love to share some of those thoughts and ideas next time as we talk about parenting the Clay way. I'm John Clay.
I'm Travis McCabe.
All right. Thanks for watching again, and we'll see you next time.
Later.